Some good upsets this past weekend. One of them being with Juarez, the other one being with Leon. Guys, those upsets are just hard to nail, and I don't know. I can kind of just see the board a little bit. I know I sound repetitive, but every season I'm just starting to understand it a little bit more. So let's keep it going. Just a slight winning weekend this past weekend. Nothing crazy, but hitting some of those upsets definitely helps. And here's one where I think we can be a little bit of an upset. Nothing too crazy because Juarez at minus 130. I think it's valid. They are coming off of a strong win against Chivas, but I mean Chivas is just not a team that we already know, guys. Offensively, they're just not gonna do much. And this Santos team is definitely a lot better than they have been the last couple seasons. So if they're going to give me Santos draw on a double chance at plus 105, I mean, I'm just going to take it. I'm just going to take that. I think this game does go over quite easily. Both these teams are being able to find the net. Juarez had no trouble finding the net against Chivas. Santos had no trouble finding the net against Cruz Azul. These are the small teams scoring on these bigger market teams. So they both have no trouble finding the net against bigger teams. I doubt they're going to have any problems finding the net against each other. You could also say that this is more of a letdown spot for Juarez. Coming after a big win, you let that momentum carry over to home. But I think the pressure gets to them. I don't think they get this win. Santos, they also played a very, very good game against Cruz Azul. Cruz Azul barely scraped by a win. But, that's a team with high expectations. Santos is a team with no expectations. But I'm still getting good prices with Santos. I'm going to take them while they're here. Because if this team just starts getting more wins and starts keeping even more matches close, we're going to start to see some of these big prices go away. So I'm just going to take Santos draw on the double chance with plus money while I'm getting it. As we're moving down the card on Friday, Querétaro has not had... I believe they've either had only one win or they've had no wins this season so far. San Luis is coming off of a strong win against Puebla, and they continue their road trip. I don't like San Luis in this spot, even though I do think they are the favorite, and I do think they are the much better team. The thing about Querétaro is they're coming off of a Sunday match against Atlas. They were down 3-1. They managed to tie that game, so... Again, I think that same momentum carries over into not losing. I think that same momentum carries over into going back home, playing a home game against San Luis, who I would say is just a slightly weaker lineup than Atlas. It's not like Atlas is that much better, but Atlas does have some strong wins under their belt. San Luis, they're barely starting to get, barely starting to get up and get moving. So I think we go with Querétaro for the upset, guys. I think Querétaro tying a strong team like Atlas has that momentum carry over back when they go back home. So I think Querétaro on the money line for plus 190. I think that's going to be our first upset of the weekend. So I'm going to take them on the money line, and I like it even better. If they haven't won a single match this whole season, I think they either have one or they don't have a single win. I'm just not 100% sure on that. I got to double check that. My apologies on that, but either way, I still like them in this game, and I like them even more if they haven't even won a single match this season so far. If they haven't, I like them even more because they're not going to finish the season with 0 wins. That just hasn't happened in history. So they're going to win one. I think this is a very winnable spot, and for plus 190, I'm perfectly fine, with taking that chance. Over 2.5. Both of these teams, again, kind of similar to that Juarez Santos game, guys. Both of these teams are finding the back of the net against, well, I guess Puebla isn't a better team, but San Luis has no trouble finding the net. I would put Puebla and Querétaro in that same bracket or in that same basket of teams, and San Luis is finding the back of the net. I highly doubt they're going to have trouble finding the net here. And Querétaro, well, they're coming off of scoring 3 goals. I don't think they just get shut out against San Luis. So I think we get over this 2.5 somewhat easy. I think it's going to be 2-1 by the end of it, be that one team or the other. Hopefully it's on the Querétaro side. Your final match for Friday, we have Tijuana at home, Chivas on the road. The lines are fishy, guys. I'm going to just say that right now. The prices are very, very fishy. Both of these teams are teams that are normally overpriced, overvalued, and they underperform. Tijuana is coming off of a very, very upset win against Pachuca. You guys know how high I am on Pachuca. Chivas is always overpriced, overvalued, but now we're finally getting a somewhat decent price with them. They're giving us Chivas at plus 140. I'm gonna take them on the money line. I think this is a buy low spot on Chivas. If this was a stock, we obviously know Chivas is a big club. If this was a stock, this is a buy low spot on Chivas. The last 2-3 games that they've had have been completely, you're trying to buy at the top. That's not what we do. We buy low, we sell high. This is obviously a buy low spot on Chivas. Tijuana, I have no idea why they are plus 175 when normally they are way overvalued, especially at home. So if this is a trap, so be it. I'll take Chivas plus 140. I think this is something winnable, but this is more so just reading the lines. And with Tijuana, I think they're coming off of. I think this is going to be also more of a letdown spot for that. You ended up beating the team in first place. It's just one of those stories where, yeah, you beat the team in first place, but then you lose to someone more down the middle of the table. And I think this is just that story. And I also like the under, believe it or not, guys. That's just how Chivas games are most of the time. Can this be a high scoring match and then I look stupid? That's fine. I can handle that. But it's just, I've seen so many Chivas games where they end up being, Chivas just barely scrape by a win. We're talking, most of the time it's just 1-0 wins. So I'm perfectly fine with the under. It's very rare when I see Chivas games go high scoring. They had one earlier this season. That doesn't move the needle for me. So for me, it's going to be the under. For me, it's going to be Chivas money line. Buy low spot on Chivas. Let down spot for Tijuana. And like I said, guys, most Chivas games are just not high scoring, being that they don't have some master offense themselves. They still struggle with their offense, but I think that they can scrape by a 1-0 win against Tijuana, who I think comes in and I think they let us down, especially getting a very, very good win against Pachuca, who is the first place team, or at least was the first place team.